Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Live to Be Well. I hope that everyone is having a blessed and amazing day. We are back with Hope and Healing alongside with Dr. Kim Logan-Nowlin, and we have a very, very special guest, Commissioner Monique McCormick. We're going to just talk about politics, family, life now as we know it. We're just going to dive right in. So we're going to bring our special guest in right now. Good evening, ladies, my beautiful ladies, Dr. Logan-Nowlin and Commissioner Monique McCormick. Good evening. Good evening. We're just gonna
MLC.
We're just gonna jump right in. I know that Commissioner, you and Dr. Logan-Nowlin have a very genuine, unique relationship. So I'm gonna start with you, Commissioner Monique, to introduce yourself to our viewers. And then we're going to just talk about how you and Dr. Kim Logan-Nowlin have developed you all's friendship and sisterhood over the years. So go ahead and introduce yourself to our viewing audience.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you for having me on today. I am Wayne County Commissioner Monique Baker McCormick, or Commissioner McCormick, as most people call me. I was elected almost 2 years ago now, and I am currently on the ballot again because we run every 2 years for my seat. But this time I don't have any opponents, so I am so blessed in that sense. I was born and raised right here in Northwest Detroit area, attended from elementary all the way to through high school, right in Northwest Detroit. So I really am passionate about where I live and where I come from. I'm still right in the community. My business is in the community. My children, now adults, they attended school right in the district. So I'm very passionate about my community and making sure that we get what we deserve. And that's one of the reasons why I ran for Wayne County Commissioner. And I am a veteran of the United States Army and a business owner. I am a real estate broker for over 25 years now.
Wow.
I've been in the real estate industry. I know I look about 25,
yes.
but that is who I am. So thank you. Thank you again for having me, Dr. Kim.
Awesome. Dr. Kim Logan,
you're welcome.
Not a stranger to you. Can you just give us a little history and background of how you and Commissioner McCormick joined together and how we got here today with her being on Live to Be Well?
Mm-hmm. Well, I was at my home, and my commissioner, she's my commissioner, and she knocked on my door, introduced herself, and she told me her story, which I want her to tell you the journey of her rise to this position, how God has led her. Okay. But she was so kind, so sweet, very, very warm. And I took time to get to know her. And then the next year, and you'll know what I mean by that. But our friendship grew, and then she gave me her cell number. I gave her my cell number. And every event she had, she invited me to. And she always kept me in the loop of everything that was going on. You talking about, I look at myself, hardest working woman. This woman worked and still works so very hard for the community. And so therefore, our passion for the community and the people and our love for God and family has kept us linked together. And I was there. She sent me an invitation. I was so blessed. She sent me an invitation when she was sworn in. It brought tears to my eyes. And to see her there. And I was just excited for her family, and well-deserved, an honest political candidate, an honest woman of God, helping the people of God to find peace and restoration.
Well, I'm curious.
So I met her right there in front.
I said, I'm curious to know of this story that you speak of, Dr. Logan. Commissioner, fill me in, because I am like, what is the story?
Well, it all started about 10 years ago.
Okay.
Well, actually 12 now, because I've been a commissioner for almost two. And I got involved in politics when I was in college, though.
Mm-hmm.
And when I graduated and came back home, I decided to join the Democratic Party, became a young Democrat, and joined various community organizations. I was block captain on my block, really got involved civically in my community. I joined an organization called the Community Coalition. And the Community Coalition was a group of residents from all over Detroit. And one of the people that was really involved in that organization was Don H. Barton. Many of you and those from Detroit know who Don H. Barton and around the world is. He was the first Black man to own, um, it was called Barton Cable
Cable
Vision.
television.
Yes. And his wife it was Bella Marshall. She worked for Wayne County.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was Ernest Johnson, who was the leader of the Community Coalition. Those were my mentors, and I learned so much from them. And one thing that I learned from Don H. Barton that I never, ever will forget is perseverance. Perseverance is the key to success in anything that you do. And you have to stay in it long enough. You have to persevere long enough to win. And that was really what kept me going is knowing that and learning that early on in my run for Wayne County Commission. And so in my district, there was this gentleman who was my county commissioner. Mm-hmm. And it was a joke. And everybody knew that he did not live in our community. He actually lived about 100 miles away in Lansing, Michigan. And although he lived 100 miles away, he continued to run for commissioner, and he would win every time. And one day, something came over me when I saw him at an event, and I just said, you know what, this is ridiculous. He does nothing for our community. He gives us nothing. He continuously runs, and he was a career politician. So he had been everything. He had been state rep. He had been the senator in our district. So the commission was kind of like his last leg, and he was just going to sit there and do nothing in our community. Okay. So I decided to run against him. But even before I ran, he found out that I was thinking about running. And we were at a community meeting, and he said, Miss McCormick, can I talk to you for a minute? And I said, sure. So we went over into a room. He closed the door, and he said, you know, I heard you're going to run against me. Do you know who I am? You know, do you know what I can do to you if you run? You know, it was a threat. Yeah. And I just couldn't believe that he basically threatened me. And those words just rang in my head every time I would run against him. Although I had very little money, I had very little resources. I decided that I'm going to run against him, even though I may not win. And I ran against him every 2 years, and I poured my heart, my money, my soul. I went to every door, and I knocked and I knocked and I knocked until people got to know me. And they knew that I was serious. They knew that I cared about my community. They knew this is where I came from. I was born and raised, and I expected more. And I believe that we all deserved more than someone that lived 100 miles away that came in and got a paycheck and then went back home. So I ran against him. And through it all, every election, there were dirty tricks. There were scandalous letters that was mailed about me. They stole my yard signs. They assassinated my character. I sued that commissioner in court and went all the way to the Michigan Supreme Court for not living in the district, which is a law. Every elected official has to live in the district in which they represent. Now, although he had all of his people in every seat of government and had his judges lined up, they basically did not, of course, did not at the appellate court. They wouldn't even take my case, so I went to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court wouldn't hear it, even though there was proof and evidence of his house in Lansing and his kids going to school in Lansing schools. And you had to be a resident of Lansing in order for your children to go to school in Lansing. So through all of that, he still was in office every year. And in 2018, he became ill. And when he became ill, there was an opportunity for him to do the right thing and appoint me to the seat as Wayne County Commissioner, because the commissioner, the outgoing commissioner, how the law is set up, can basically advocate for the commission to appoint someone else, or the second highest vote getter, or it could be anyone in the community. But what he chose to do is he chose to appoint someone that didn't live in the community, that was not connected to the community, had never ran for the commission seat. So he appointed that person in office. And shortly after, he passed away. And so that meant in the very next election that I would have to then run for the seat again. And that person in the seat who he appointed or helped to get appointed, he would have to run against me. But you know what? God worked it out.
Yeah.
And the person that he appointed put his name on the ballot, well, on his affidavit. You have to fill out an affidavit when you run for office. He put his name on that affidavit incorrectly. And so his name could not be placed on the ballot. So I was on the ballot all by myself in that election, and God is good. That's all I can say. And here I am today.
Well, that is an excellent story. Thank you so much for sharing that. What I gathered from that was perseverance. I gathered from that not being intimidated by what was before you, and understanding your call to the position that you are in right now, and the fact that you are there for a divine order and purpose. And I believe that that's very interesting, and I believe that is very encouraging for anyone in any field to stay determined, to not be intimidated by what may be before you, for threats that come against you, especially
Mhm.
with things that are going on now within the country, which we're going to kind of dive into. There's a lot of intimidating things that are going on within 2020. 2020 has been a very interesting year thus far. I saw a post the other day that said, "Man, I can't believe we stayed up past midnight to bring this year in." But I believe that even though this year has brought about so many challenging things, the year is not over yet, and there's still a lot of great that can come out of it in the midst of the turmoil. As we proceed to for schools to go back in, Commissioner, my question for you is, within your district, how do you foresee, or how do you plan on handling, as a politician, as a mother, as a woman, as a human being, handling the questions of the decision to send children back to school and the climate in which that we're in? Because I remember that we couldn't go back to school when I was in school without a measles vaccine, mumps vaccine. All type of health records had to be up to date. And it's just very interesting to me that we're in an entire pandemic, but they're so quick to discuss going back to schools via Zoom, but yet not making it an automatic requirement that all schools be online. I'm just very confused. So how are you going to handle that in your community when people have questions? I'm not very sure on what the dynamic is in the city of Detroit going forward with going back to schools, but they're opening schools, and it's up. I know here in Alabama they're giving you 3 options to do schooling. But how do you plan on, as commissioner, and what is your advice to parents that are kind of in the debate on what to do going forward? Because my thing is, I know this is a long question, there are going to be a lot of parents, single parents, that it's like, I have to go to work, I can't stay home with my kids. So then they're put in the predicament to send their children back to school. My fear is that there are going to be a lot of children that may or may not uh, get sick, the parents that get sick, and we hope that we don't have any deaths, but the risk is very much there for children and parents. So again, what is your advice moving forward for your district as it pertains to schooling this coming fall?
So that is a very challenging question for me, and parents are caught in that scenario of whether I can go to work or stay at home.
Yeah.
And it is a difficult situation. And in the past, and in my other life, I was a parent leader and an advocate for parents. So I understand fully, as a single parent myself, how difficult that decision to send your children back to school is going to be. The fortunate part, I think, is that we do have a governor, Governor Jennifer, excuse me, Gretchen Whitmer,
Right.
who is doing a wonderful job of assessing whether we should and at what stage we are, and looking at the potential for a vaccine before going back to school. So we're all in a mode of really trying to figure things out as we move forward. And it is going to be a difficult decision. But for me, I would suggest that we have online schooling until we have some vaccine in place, even if it's, one full school year. I'd rather see our children safe, because what's going to happen is they could go to school and they could catch the virus from someone and then they can bring it home.
And bring it home.
Although children, historically, when they catch the virus, they don't have any major problems. It's when they bring it home to the parents. And so even with that parent that says, well, I need to go to work, but if your child is at school and then they bring it home to you, you're not going to be able to work anyway because now you're sick, you know.
Mhm.
So it's a difficult situation for all of us right now, trying to figure out what is best. And I know my daughter, well, she's in college. She's at home right now.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't know whether, you know, all of the classes are going to be online. You know, she was staying off campus in apartments. We don't want to sign another lease because we don't know what's really going to happen. So again, it's a difficult situation, and it has so many moving parts. But I am really for closing schools and just, you know, doing everything online. And maybe in the next stimulus package, because there is one that's coming, that maybe we can provide more support for those parents that have to stay at home, or extend those that can work from home, to ensure that ability is still intact. So yeah, like I said, it's a difficult situation, but I think we'll get through it. You know, I think this too shall pass. We just have to not rush back into opening up the economy, opening up schools. Give time, and we'll be okay, because we're gonna still rise.
Exactly.
Mhm.
Dr. Logan-Nowlin, I feel as if you know, you've said it on several of our conversations, how there has been a strong need and dynamic, and your phone has been off the hook with things as it pertains to the stresses of COVID in terms of finances, deaths, just stress as a whole with what's going on in this country. As we proceed into the month with schooling, I know that parents are going to be stressed even more, not really knowing, how, as Commissioner said, like if I go to work and then my child goes to school and gets sick, and then I'm out of work, like it's gonna bring a lot of like just stress. How are you as a clinical psychologist moving forward, and are you at a point within your counseling developing new techniques moving forward to help? Because what I'm noticing is what may have worked at the beginning of this pandemic for psychologists and psychiatrists will not work where we are right now. So what new technique can you suggest without, you know, giving away, because people are going to still need to call, you still have a business, but what new techniques and advice can you give for parents moving forward as we proceed into the latter part of this year, going into the fall school year?
Well, excellent question. So many of my families are calling and asking, Dr. Kim, what do I do? You know, do I go back to work? Do I send my child back to school? And my question to them is, where is your safe zone? Some of the new techniques that I'm implementing, and I like to share with everyone because I'm writing about it, is that safe zone technique. Having the children recognize that they have a place of safety in the home. And I know a lot of the children, Commissioner and ML6, the children want to go back to school because they miss the socialization aspect. They want to be around their friends. They want to play basketball. They want to be in recreation. They want to enjoy the lunchroom, the little simple things and their classrooms. So implementing the safe zone technique, and also how to implement socialization techniques in the home, trying to get the parents to implement more time with their children, coming up with different activities, helping them to recognize that being at home right now is safe for you. I'm not being punished. And that's very important, that we let the children know they're not being punished. This is something that is completely out of everyone's hands. So now we have to help them understand that there's self-esteem. So I'm implementing new programs, self-zone, all safe zone, socialization, also self-esteem building techniques, helping the children and the parents. I just got off a session where the young man he's 14 and he's huffing and puffing, and the mother's like, oh, so she can't say, I can't wait till school opens again, because we can't say that anymore. You can't do that. And so I told them that first thing, and I really say this across the board, we've got to pray with our children, no matter how old. Commissioner, every day I pray with my children, every day, and I let them know that God is surrounding them. And then we have to use the order of respect, order of trust. Our children are losing trust in the system of everything in their lives. Their routine has been changed and uprooted. They no longer have the things that they used to have and be able to do the same things. So I'm trying to implement different techniques, also different levels, to help them pull back the uncertainties, the uncomfortability, ML6, help them understand that they can get through this, as the commissioner said, and we're going to get through this together. So, and the one thing I'm doing, ML6 and commissioner, I'm doing consistent counseling every week. The same people I have on Monday, I have them 7 days later. Some days I have them twice a week. That is very important, that we have consistency in this process, because I'm also talking to principals, I'm talking to educators, I'm talking to everyday people, and I'm talking to the children. I had a 5-year-old who told me the other day, well, Dr. Kim, I don't like this pandemic and I want to go back to school. And I really feel that they should have a solution by now. And this upset my whole life. I couldn't even graduate from kindergarten the way I wanted to. Yeah. And I had to let her know that we made it special for you. And she said, I'm very thankful for that. But she said, Dr. Kim, I want to go back to school. And I just have to tell her, we can't go back to school right now. Now, some parents are sending their children back. But again, it is a high risk to do that. And we need to look at our parents becoming more acquainted with the academic role. They're going to have to gird up. They're going to have to gird up, and they're going to get strong in this process.
I think that's excellent that you are developing a level of consistency with your clients that you feel are in need of that, because right now everything is so inconsistent. But I have to say, even with your consistency with them, I need you to take consistency with yourself and making sure that you are taking care of yourself as well. Okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, daughter. I don't know if you've heard, but the man that is in the White House right now, he is developing or coming up with some sort of plan to send troops into major cities. And I was reading one article where these troops are coming in. They may possibly be coming into the Detroit area to monitor violence and things of that nature. What are your thoughts on this plan, if you've even heard of this plan that he is developing, dropping these troops to, again, monitor these major cities? Ironically, they're Democratic cities being ran by women governors or Democratic governors. What are your thoughts on him doing and implementing this?
My thoughts is November. and the election. We have to stay focused
Mm-hmm.
on making sure that we vote. I don't know if I can say for who, but vote the right way
Mm-hmm.
and make sure that number 40, is it 45? That's what I
45.
call it. Is no longer there.
Right.
And so all of the things that he does right now are distractions,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what they are to me. They mean nothing. He helps with none of the issues that we really need to focus on right now. Sending in troops that makes no sense.
Mm-hmm.
It's all to support his base, and so for me, is really focus on November and the election, and I'm going to do everything I can and everything in my power to make sure that we get a person in office that is going to bring us together instead of separate us, and someone that is going to be there that will take charge and do the right thing. I mean, that's really all I can say about what he's doing. So many things that he's done just don't make sense, and that's just another one of them. That again, we just have to do our best to stay focused and go vote and tell 10 people around us to go vote, because we cannot make the same mistake that we made in the last election. And that's for people to just say, oh, well, it doesn't matter. I'm not going to go vote. And that's the reason that he's in, is because more people decided to not vote than the people
That's
that
right.
voted. And so,
That's right.
I say this often. I say a no vote is a vote
is
for
a
him.
vote. That's right, for someone
A
else.
random write-in vote is a vote for him.
That's right.
And I mean that wholeheartedly. So I am glad that you are stressing. I want to ask this question, Commissioner, and I'm going to bring you into this question too, Dr. Logan-Nowlin. Breonna Taylor, if you were the commissioner and the community that Breonna Taylor lived in, how would you, as a African American woman in your position, go about handling making sure that justice was served on her behalf?
Well, for me, it really is about education. Everything leads back to a lack of of education, and I think that goes back to the police and making sure that they have the right training, education to do their job. But I also think that we need to reinstitute the residency requirement. We no longer have that in a lot of the major cities around the country. It's not the answer to everything, but I think that with requiring someone, just like an elected official, to live in the community in which they represent, I think is important for police officers to live in that community in which they represent. I think that would allow them to get to know their neighbors and the people that surround them. They will care more about those in the community. And I think, again, that it would help in the sense for them to have a feel for the community. Whereas if you're working, Dr. Kim, and you know that in order for us to really come together, you need to know that person next to you. You need to understand them, and that's where that educational piece comes in. Having an understanding of who we are as people, but you won't understand who I am or who someone else is if you're not in contact with them, if you're not their neighbor. So I think residency is key, and it could deter a lot of the violence against Black people, because we know that Black lives matter. And we know that historically we have been lynched. I mean, historically. And so that, that's
it breeds I put up a post on my Instagram basically saying the reason why we can't say right now all lives matter, because, or why we say Black lives matter, is because in society, when you say all lives matter, it doesn't include Black people. It doesn't include our struggle. It doesn't include our progression. It does not include that. And again, let's be clear. When we say Black lives matter, we're not even saying that they don't. All we're saying is like, look at us for who we are, what we've accomplished, and where we are right now. That's it. Just respect us. Just respect us. I can't say to you, oh, if I say to you, I have cancer, and then you're like, oh yeah, well, so does this person, this person, this person. Yeah, I get that. But right now, I'm letting you know that I have it, and I need you to have a compassion and something for me. Like, it's really not a complicated equation. And I have said it time and time again. I'm at a point in my life where I'm not explaining it to anybody. At this point, if no one understands why I say Black Lives Matter, it has nothing to do with the Black Lives Matter movement. It is just the principle of the statement. If you don't understand it by now, you have no intentions of understanding it, period. I'm not going to waste my time on someone's ignorance of the value that I represent in society. And I'm so grateful that you mentioned, Commissioner, about police officers living in their communities, because what's happening is when we say defund the police, it's because a lot of these police officers are working in communities, getting paid to work in communities that they don't even live in. Whereas I remember years ago when I was younger, when you would have people that really loved the community and worked in the community and had value for the community, they protected the community. And there was a respect from the residents to the cops because they understood the dynamic of their communities. And the Breonna Taylor situation, they busted in that young lady's home for whatever reason. It was all wrong. And I say this time and time again, I don't need a video to tell me what happened. The proof is in the fact that the young lady is dead. The proof is in the fact that there's a audio of her boyfriend calling. The proof is in the fact that that young lady was still alive after being shot 18 times and they did nothing. The proof is in the fact that they sent her mother on a wild goose chase before she could even see her child. That woman did not see her child until the next day, hours later. They sent her on a goose chase. So Dr. Logan, my question to you is, there is a lot of trauma connected with this case. A lot of trauma for a lot of different people for a lot of different reasons. A lot of triggers. And we've talked about triggers on this show before and how to deal with trauma. There are stories that are coming up from years ago that had no publicity, that had no conversation, but they are being brought up in conversation. And it shows a trail. It shows a timeline of events as it pertains to what it's doing to the level of, I guess, comfortability at this point. There is none as it pertains to police protecting and serving communities. How are you dealing with your clients at any age who feel like they can't even call on anyone to protect and serve because they feel like those that are called to protect and serve are not doing that? So they're put in a position of fear, especially as it pertains to your clients that are dealing with domestic violence, be it men or women, who have a fear of calling the police, especially men right now, because men that you know, a female, you know how sometimes females can be. We love our women, we do, but there can be a situation, hypothetically, a female is mad and she calls the police on her boyfriend just to get back at him, and it turns into a situation that could go completely left when she's just mad about something and being petty and calls the police, and she puts her boyfriend or husband at risk of death because the police, all they see is a black man who may have possibly hurt someone, and we got to take them out. How are you dealing with handling clients as it pertains to the trauma of surrounding all of these cases?
You know, not too long ago, maybe about a year ago, I had a case and where my couple got into a domestic violence situation. The young lady called me and said that I know he has an appointment with you today, and I'm sending the police there to arrest him. And I was like, now, wait a minute. I need to know what happened. And she admitted to provoking him, and he should not have pushed up against the wall. Well, the two police officers, Caucasian police officers, came to my office, knocked on my door, and my administrator opened the door, and she came back. I was in a therapy session, said that there are two police officers here. I came out, says, how can I help you? Well, we're here to arrest so-and-so. And I said, well, he's not here. Well, does he have an appointment with you today? And I said, yes, he does. And I knew what would have happened to that young man. And I called him and I stated that I need to reschedule your appointment. That's all I said. I need to reschedule your appointment. And then I went back to the police officers and I told him that you're welcome to wait. His appointment is not going to be for some time, because I didn't want to get caught up in a lie or perjure myself. But I knew that they came there to drag that young black man out. And he told me later, after going to court, I said, we're going to do it the right way. Go and turn yourself in. And that's what he did. Yeah. And dealing with the psychological component of what I saw in court, he was automatically accused. He was torn down. He was degraded in that courtroom. And when I was asked to testify and on both of their behalf, and what had been going on for some time, now he is in a program dealing with domestic violence. He's in counseling with me. And she stopped coming to counseling because she's like, I didn't have the problem. Yes. So what we're doing now at Kim Logan Communication and Live to Be Well, I'm helping individuals to identify those triggers, the behaviors that they don't want to talk about, the psychological mood swings that they're experiencing. Because social media, television, all of these things, the radio, can trigger people, and it can trigger a movement or it can trigger death. We want a movement, and we need her to still have a voice through us by the way we stand up for each other as a commissioner, as you stated, ML6, ability to work together, to rise together, and to reason together. Because we don't do her any justice by keep killing black on black crime. We need to stand up. But I took a stand, and I was not going to let those two police officers drag that man out of my office, because I believed what he told me. And what he told me was the truth. And it came out in court. And what she did to get him arrested, to get back at him. So I say to all my viewers today watching, you have to be held accountable. And that's so important, ML6 and Commissioner, the accountability that we must have. And you have taken an oath, all of us, to serve our communities. And we cannot treat people any kind of way because you feel Black lives don't matter. When I walk down the street now, I have a whole sense of pride. When I'm in my building where people didn't used to speak to me, they speak to me now. And so I'm looking at a movement. But let me say this. We are not out of the woods. We're nowhere out of the woods as Black people.
We're not. As you all know, over the weekend we lost a pillar in civil rights, Representative John Lewis. Commissioner, how, if any, in your political uh, life, how did, if again, if any, did Representative John Lewis influence you as he consciously and just without fail stood up for African Americans, not just in the South, but all over? How did John Lewis influence you in your political campaigning?
Well, for me, he's, I stand on his shoulders. I
Mm-hmm.
stand on so many of our leaders that came before, Black politicians, Black female and male leaders. So
Right.
I definitely, uh, again, I definitely see that for me, I've learned so much from so many of them,
Mm-hmm.
what to do and how to do it, and really how to stand up for my community and what I believe in. I think that's really what I got from him and other elected leaders, is that we have to sometime put ourselves in harm's way to get things done.
Get things done. As he said all the time, it's okay to do good trouble.
That's
Good.
right.
That's
Good
it's
trouble.
good
That's
trouble.
right. He
Good
did
trouble.
say
Yeah.
that all the time. Good trouble.
As we approach November, because it will definitely be here before we know it, and going back to something that you said earlier about voting, I want the people who are listening live or who come back to this later, who may not feel that voting is important. I stress on my show that you have to vote small, and you have to vote medium, and you have to vote big. It all plays a part in how the trajectory of this country moves along. People say, well, I'm not going to get up and vote for, the city stuff. I'm not going to get up and vote for the state stuff, but I'll show up for the main election, not realizing that you got to show up for it all. It all plays a part. The Senate, the Congress, everything, it all plays a part. So, from your expertise, can you give a blanket statement to those who feel that voting small is not important?
Well, for me, it all happens from the bottom up. It
Mhm.
starts at the local level, and we determine what happens locally, and then it goes up from there. And if we don't have those local leaders in place fighting for us. Um, just for instance, we talk about our governor, Governor Whitmer here. Michigan, when COVID came out and really started to blow up,
Right.
that happened early on in March. And if it wasn't for her sticking to her ground and saying, look, this is what we're doing here in Michigan. We don't care what that number 45 says. This is what we're going to do.
Right.
So it really starts from the bottom up, and it starts from us doing our job, from the precinct delegates in the community, reaching out to their neighbors, to the commissioners and the state reps and senators, um, all the way up. And every election matters.
Yeah.
So no matter if it's the primary, which is, by the way, the most important
Yes.
local election, because you choose all of your local leaders.
Yes.
So it starts from the bottom up.
Okay.
And matter of fact, if you look at it, most of it, well, before number 45, most of our elected leaders were at some point a local leader,
Hmm.
um, and they worked their way up. So again, we have to make sure that We vote in every election. Every vote counts. Every election counts.
Every election counts. What are you all doing in the state of Michigan as it pertains to, polling? Like we just had an election here on July 14th, and they made sure that when you walk through, they had the hand sanitizers. You had to, of course, wear your mask, and you didn't have to necessarily wear your mask while you voted. But what are the stipulations, just so that people can know moving forward within your district? Also, are there, again, I'm not really sure on the rules in terms of how it's going in Michigan, but do you all have rides to the polls? Are you putting or implementing moving forward for November a rides to the polls campaign, or some type of way to get people who cannot necessarily get to the polls in November and for your upcoming election?
Well, thank you for asking that question, which is majorly important because we have to make sure that we keep voters safe. And in fact, I
Right.
just introduced a resolution that passed last month in reference to drop boxes. So these are
Mm.
election drop boxes that was approved by and supported, I should say, by my colleagues on the commission. And we are advocating and also providing the clerk's office in Wayne County communities with resources to purchase drop boxes so that absentee voters currently, they're voting absentee right now, they can
Right.
just walk up to a box, drop their ballot in the box,
Mhm.
and they don't have to worry about going into, election, um, a polling location, or getting too close to someone or any of that. They can just simply drop it in a box, and the clerk will collect all of the ballots.
Okay.
So it's really a direct way and a secure way where you can ensure that your ballot gets directly to the clerk office without going into a polling location. So that's one of the things that we're doing in Michigan. So in Detroit, right now we only have two, but we're ramping up. We are using CARES dollars. We appropriated $100,000 to have boxes all throughout Detroit. So we'll have some in our Northwest Detroit community very soon.
That is excellent. That is excellent. Making
Thank
it
you.
very simple, making it easy and safe to vote. Making no excuse. There is no excuse for you not to get out and vote. Again, this election is so good. All right, so important. All right, so we have just a few more minutes, and I'm just going to ask just some lighthearted, fun questions, Commissioner and Dr. Logan, as we move forward. So, Commissioner Monique, what are you doing? This is something that I love to ask, especially the women on this platform. What are you doing at home for fun? What do you do for fun, even in the midst of all of this, that helps to keep you grounded, level-headed, and just time for yourself so that you can do the things that you need to do for the community? Let us know, little girl talk, what you kind of do just to
Okay.
kind of keep yourself in your
So,
groove.
all right. So ML6, I just
Yeah.
wanted to know what does that mean before I go on? Because I've been
Okay.
thinking about this the whole time.
Okay.
ML6, what does that
Okay.
mean?
So it's,
What is that about?
I have a radio show here in Huntsville, Alabama, and it's Riding Middays with ML6. ML6 is a special edition Mercedes-Benz trucks. Mercedes are very classy cars, but this truck element gives it a bit of an edge, and that's my personality, classy with an edge. So you're riding middays with ML6.
Okay. And so is that what type of vehicle you have or will
No,
have?
no.
Oh,
No, I don't.
no. Oh, okay.
I
Okay.
don't, but it was
Okay.
actually a name that was given to me in a
Okay.
joke. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to use that. And ironically, it has my initials in it, but it really had to do with the dynamic of the car and my personality. And I do love trucks. In the name of Jesus, in 2 years, I'll have a G-Wagon. But I do love trucks, but that's where it comes from. Just classy with a bit of an edge. I'm the girl with the crazy nails or the crazy hair, but I can sit down and have a political conversation with you and be extremely intelligent and going forward.
I see that. All right. ML6. Okay. Well, what I do at home is I like to have a glass of wine and just wind down for the day.
Okay.
I like to take baths. I like to sit outside on my deck and work in the garden, plant my flowers. I like to look at my beautiful flowers every day and just I've really, really been enjoying the weather here. We've been having some beautiful weather. So it's perfect for the deck, you know, just sitting back, getting some sun. The only thing I don't have is the ocean.
Okay.
You know, and usually at least 3 times a year, I would go and sit by the ocean for a couple weeks. But that's really what I do at home. Just, you know, enjoy the beautiful warm weather and soak up some sun outside. Listen to some music. I love music.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's kind of what I do to relax.
With you loving the ocean, this is just a little suggestion. Go to whatever store you like to go to and get you a cute little bucket or a little pool type thing and put it on your deck and put your feet in it and drink your sip of wine and listen to your music and just imagine and envision yourself with your feet in the water at the ocean. I'm saying you got to make it work during these times.
You know, it's funny you should say that. I have on my deck kind of like there's curtains there, but I just ordered some with a scenic view of the ocean and palm trees and sand. So it's so funny you just said that. I just haven't put them up yet, but they're going up somewhere outside so I can look at it and feel like I'm on a beach or ocean somewhere.
Dr. Logan, it's interesting because I said when she talked about flowers and planting, I believe that there's a theme within the community that you all are living in. I do love, you know, growing up in the North Roselle Park area, I grew up with such pride and how even in that community, the people there love their flowers. They love planting. They love making sure, I don't know if it's an HOA thing or what, but they love making sure that the outside, but I do believe, and I've always felt that was a stress reliever for the people in the community to get out and just making sure that their homes on the outside look just as good as they do on the inside and keeping the pride of the community just flourishing. I believe that I remember growing up and we would drive down, my mom would be like, they haven't done their flowers yet. They need to get on it. Like, you know, and just making sure that things were done. But then there was a community of, you know, going down and walking down the street and making sure and just checking on your neighbors and just making sure that they were good, or even helping plant a flower or showing them how to plant flowers. And I believe that there's a connection within the community as it pertains to planting. But I relate that into growth of the community and maintaining it and keeping it and sustaining it. So
your mom has a beautiful home and a beautiful garden, and I just love her house. I wanted to buy it. I was like, oh, I want to buy your house one day.
And what's interesting, Commissioner, I'll be honest with you, I wanted her to sell the house. I did. I did. And but my reason wasn't because I did not think that the house and the community was beautiful. I just wanted her to be in a smaller place, more just conducive to where she is right now under the circumstances in which our family had been going through at the time. But I had to kind of back off a little bit. I still do want her to move at some point. And it's not because I don't love the community, but it's just because it's a lot of house. But I
is.
understand how much she loves the house. But it's more than just the house. I do understand that she has a community there. And meeting you through this and listening to you and getting to know who you are and your pride for District 6 that she lives in, I do understand why she wants to stay. I do get it. Like I said, I loved growing up in the area. I didn't know who was a commissioner at any given time. You know, I left when I was 15, but I do remember loving the community that I lived in. And even when I go home, it always feels like home there. So Dr. Logan-Nowlin, you know, you have this beautiful pond and you have all these flowers and you do all these things. And I know that you see all these clients. I'm going to use this as my time to make sure that you are getting out there more, especially as, you know, we enter into the month of August, which is the hottest month of the year, no matter where you live, making time to really get out there and enjoy and creating a sense of peace as you move forward. I know that you haven't been doing it as much as I would like, but as moving forward as the commissioner and all that she has going on, real estate, you know, leading the people, she's making time. We want to make sure that you're making time too, Dr. Logan, consistently.
Yes. Consistently. Yes. Yes. And I'm doing that. You know, today I picked out 5 tomatoes today out of my garden. And we had a big windstorm Sunday and 2 trees came down. But it missed my garage and it missed my neighbor's home. And some were not as fortunate. And it made me appreciate the fact that I could go out there and sit. And I am going out more in the evening after I'm done working. And I sit out, I take my Bible out and I just sit and read my Bible and I pray and I listen to my music. And then, because after my program with this, I come on at 9 o'clock because I'm on a radio show in Corpus Christi, Texas. So I listen to Dr. Kim in Texas, all right? And so that gives me a sense of pride. And you know what? Another thing, Saturday, I went out to Belle Isle. Couldn't get on the first hour. It was so crowded. Had to wait 45 minutes. But I went out, took a chair, and I sat by the water, Commissioner, and I watched the sunset come down.
Oh,
and it was so beautiful. I had to take a picture. I put it on Instagram. It was just so beautiful. So I am my precious daughter and my good friend, Commissioner. I am going to take more time because how can I help someone else and understand the triggers, the psychological traumas, understanding their mental health and well-being and stress, anxiety, depression, postpartum depression, all these things, insomnia. If I collapse, we're vessels here, and I must get my rest. And my lights were out Sunday night.
Yeah.
I couldn't do anything, but I got my Bible and my Sabbath school lesson. And I was reading my Bible and marking it with my flashlight on my phone. And I went to sleep at 10 o'clock. Best sleep I had. I was a little warm, but I went to sleep and I woke up. The lights still weren't on. And I went on, I had hot water, got dressed, you know, and I went on to my office running errands. I had things to do. And it took me out of the house. And 4 o'clock, the lights were on. I got in about 9, and you just keep it moving. But I am I want those curtains. I got to find out where you got those curtains, Commissioner. I want to order those curtains. We're going to have the curtains, okay?
Yes, I will make sure you get that information. My lights were all out too. Yeah, that last night, or was that the night before? Yeah.
The night before.
Yeah.
Sunday night. Yep.
Well, ladies, I want to say
so,
thank you for this amazing conversation, this amazing time, just talking about all things, you know, political life, moving forward. For all those that are joining in, I said live or later, if you have children, my advice, I'm not a mother, I'm not a parent. I have a sister and I have friends with children. And what I'm getting is that as a parent, you just have to make the best decision for your child and for your household moving forward. As we are definitely still in a pandemic, I am imploring each and every one of you to wear your mask, maintain social distance, but please hear me and hear me well. There is no point to wear your mask if you are not taking care of your bodies from the inside out. Please make sure that you are taking your immune boosters every single day, sometimes twice a day as we move forward in this pandemic. Make sure that your children are getting essential vitamin C, D3, the African American community is lacking in D3. So make sure that you are pumping your blood system and your stream with those vitamins, elderberry, black seed oil, ginger, garlic, turmeric. The list can go on, but do whatever is best. But just make sure that you are keeping your immune system healthy. Please, please follow the orders of your community, your state. Make sure you get out there and vote. Vote, vote, vote. If you are not registered to vote, please get online and find out how you can get registered to vote so that the numbers count. There are a lot of things that are happening under the radar as it pertains to this country, and that will affect minorities in every which way. We want to make sure that you're aware. Please take care of yourselves, mind, body, and soul. And join us again for our next Live to Be Well with Dr. Kim Logan-Nowlin. Again, thank you to County Commissioner District 6.
Thank
Monique
you.
McCormick.
Thank you for having me, Dr. Kim and ML6. Thank you. Thank you so
Remember
much.
that in all things, you must honor yourselves, honor God, honor your community, and live to be well. Have a great evening, everyone.
Live to be well with Dr. Kim, with Dr. Kim. Live to be well. Live to be well with Dr. Kim.